Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Niq and today we're going to be recapping episode 1 of my Royal Nemesis, a Netflix K-drama. We've got royal conspiracies, reincarnation, a modern day movie set meltdown, an eclipse, and one of the most ridiculous first meetings between our leads that I've seen in a very long time. So let's get into it. Our episode opens in the Joseon era, with members of the Royal Council issuing a decree to our protagonist Kang Dan-sim, also known by her royal title, Huibin Kang. And the charges against her are intense, to say the least. She's accused of disrupting the royal hierarchy, sleeping with a married person, and attempting to unalive both the crown prince and a noble consort. Her punishment? Death. While the royal council is outside demanding that she come out of her chambers, Dan-sim is completely unbothered. Like seriously, she's inside calmly painting a flower tree while her servants are panicking and begging on the floor for her to face her decree. And believe it or not, this flower tree will come back up later, so stay with me. After finishing her painting, she finally steps out into the courtyard. Instead of begging for mercy, she calls everyone out for gathering to watch her downfall like it's entertainment. And she's honestly taking this way better than I would have been, because I would have been crying and rolling on the floor. She kneels in front of the bowl of poisoned soup they prepared for her, but she flat out refuses to drink it. At the same time, two important things are happening. First, we have His Majesty, An-jung, I'm assuming he's the crown prince, meeting with his advisors. We never actually see his face, but he wants to know if Dan-sim's execution order has been carried out. Once he's reassured that it has, he says something to the effect of, "The pus is cut out, there's no need to cut off the leg." So clearly Dan-sim is the pus, but who is the leg? Meanwhile, a shaman named Huang is performing a ritual. We don't know exactly what's happening yet, but it's obvious she's trying to help Dan-sim somehow, in some way. Back in the courtyard, Dan-sim still refuses to drink the poison, so she's forced to. As she's dying, a solar eclipse begins. In her dying breath, she sees flashes of memories involving a mysterious man whose face we never get to see. And then she wakes up on a movie set. She's confused, disoriented, and can't understand what's going on. Even worse, the scene they're filming is a reenactment of her own execution. And it turns out she's working as a stand-in for actress Yoon Ji-hyo, our resident petty antagonists. Yoon Ji-hyo is like one of your high school bullies. You can't take her seriously. Naturally, Dan-sim gets triggered by the scene and starts attacking the actors around her. Well, for one, because she's confused, disoriented, and she sees them as a threat, naturally. Everyone tries to restrain her, but she takes them down with surprising ease. And somehow, no one yells cut, nobody calls security, and everyone just lets this happen. This pretty much tells us exactly what kind of humor the show is going for. It's absurd, and honestly, I actually kind of like it. And I love Dan-sim so far. I love her abrasiveness, her aggressiveness, and how bold she is as a character. Bravo to the actress. As Dan-sim wanders around this strange new world that she's in, which is essentially modern day, it's modern times, she's convinced she's in hell. She actually has no idea she's been reincarnated. Through flashbacks, we learn that Shaman Huang, which is the shaman woman we saw perform the ritual in the beginning, helped orchestrate her second chance. Apparently Dan-sim knew her death was coming and sought out the shaman to find a way to survive. Back in the present, we learn that Dan-sim is now living in the body of a struggling actress named Shin Sori. And from everyone's reactions, the original Sori was probably known for being a pushover. She was new to the acting industry, maybe she was a kind-hearted person, and yet she was also constantly overlooked by her peers. But Dan-sim, she's a former royal. She knows exactly how to handle confrontation. Where Sori would stay quiet, Dan-sim carries herself with confidence, poise, and authority, especially when dealing with our petty antagonist, Ji-hyo. She's assertive, self-assured, and definitely not someone who's going to let people walk all over her. I definitely see Dan-sim as a masterclass in how to speak up for yourself against people who do everything they can to intimidate you or try to shame you or humiliate you in front of everybody. Now let's talk about our second protagonist and love interest, Cha Se-gi. According to the media, he's basically public enemy number one. He's a chaebol heir, or half chaebol as they say in the series, the CEO of a startup company, Bioje, constantly surrounded by scandals, and has a reputation for abusing his power. There's even a viral video circulating online that supposedly shows him destroying a construction site. At least I think it's a construction site. I couldn't tell. Y'all can tell me in the comments. And honestly, his introduction doesn't exactly help his case. We first meet him blackmailing a businessman into merging companies. Not exactly Prince Charming behavior. But then we learn something interesting. The viral video is actually a deepfake. But instead of being upset, Se-gi casually tells his assistant to arrange a meeting with whoever created it because he wants to acquire their company. I guess he really believes in keeping your enemies close. We're also introduced to his grandfather, Chairman Cha, who fully believes the scandal is real. He's worried about Se-gi's reckless behavior and constantly keeps tabs on him. Now for our lead's first meeting. Dan-sim is wandering around the city completely overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Se-gi is stuck in traffic because, well, everyone, I guess, is excited about the solar eclipse. I don't know how that would back up traffic, but okay. His assistant gets distracted for a second, and just as they start moving again, Dan-sim walks into the street and collapses. They rush to check on her, but as soon as she wakes up, she walks right back into traffic. Se-gi pulls her to safety, then immediately accuses her of trying to scam him for money. Dan-sim is understandably offended, so she slaps him. Then she grabs a flower branch off of the back of a truck and starts hitting him with it, and somehow he grabs flowers and starts hitting her back. A crowd gathers, Se-gi gets embarrassed, and before leaving, he flicks his business card at her. Romance is alive and well, everyone. Later, Dan-sim follows a group of school children into a museum, and this is where things get heartbreaking. She discovers that history remembers her as a villain. She's been labeled evil. She was poisoned and stripped of her title. Even worse, the flower painting she created has been credited to someone else, Queen Eunjung. Eunjung? Hope I'm saying that correctly. While she's processing all of this, an older woman approaches her and addresses her as Your Majesty. Long story short, the woman explains that Dan-sim is possessing Shinsori's body. At that moment, Dan-sim decides she's going to make the most of this second chance. And because Se-gi is the only familiar person she knows in this new world, she decides he's going to help her, whether he likes it or not. Back at Bioje, Se-gi is meeting with international investors and pitching the company's herbal brand. One investor comments that the brand needs a face, and I have a feeling we already know where this is leading. Dan-sim eventually finds her way to the company, only to discover it's full of women wearing hanbok. She asks for Se-gi, but because of the way she speaks, the receptionist assumes she's there for an audition. Dan-sim thinks she's simply waiting to meet him. She's not. And of course, Ji-hyo is there too. She immediately tries to intimidate Dan-sim in front of the other actresses, but Dan-sim isn't having it. The two basically end up in an intense staring contest before they're called into the audition room. Then Se-gi walks in late, in the middle of the audition. Dan-sim immediately calls him out. He's horrified to see her again. She, on the other hand, is completely unbothered. Or maybe just completely oblivious. After the audition, Dan-sim tries to explain her situation to Se-gi, but he refuses to listen and threatens to call security. Then the solar eclipse takes place. Suddenly, Dan-sim senses that something bad is about to happen. She tries to pull Se-gi out of the way, and the dummy crashes down onto his car. For context, earlier in the episode, we saw a protester accusing Se-gi of not caring about his workers, and he gets pulled out of the building. And then we see another scene of him walking up the stairs, we assume in Se-gi's company Bioje. So it's pretty safe to assume he's connected to what just happened. Now let's get to honorable mentions and theories. Before we wrap up, let's talk about someone who I think might be our true villain. See, our girl Yoon Ji-hyo is, like I said, a high school bully, a petty antagonist. So Ji-hyo might just be like an appetizer, whereas this guy, I think, may eventually be the whole platter. So we see a man who's reading to children and playing the role of the perfect public figure. But there are a couple of details that stand out. First, he appears to have burn scars on his ears. Second, he visibly gets irritated when Cha Se-gi is mentioned during an interview. So whatever their relationship is, friends, family, rivals, there's definitely some tension there. Personally, I think he's carefully crafting this wholesome image to make Se-gi look even worse by comparison. But we'll have to wait and see. Overall, episode 1 does a great job introducing our characters and setting up the central mystery. I also love that both of our leads start out with terrible reputations. Dan-sim is remembered as a villain from the past, while Se-gi is viewed as a villain in the present. So maybe this story isn't about changing who they are, maybe it's about uncovering who they really are. But what did you think of episode 1? Do you think Dan-sim was framed in her past life? And what's your theory about Se-gi's mysterious rival? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.